Welcome from Transylvania. This beautiful land is very mysterious, covered with nice hills, beautiful castles and lots of interesting history. Today it's a part of Romania, but from the most time of history it was part of Hungarian kingdom. We are in Castle Soymos, lying over the river Mureș, and today I will tell you about history of Transylvania from the ancient times until late medieval period. Stay with me. In the ancient times, Transylvania was home to Dacians. Dacians were fierce warriors who was fighting with Romans since 3rd century, but in the 1st and 2nd century they were so powerful that Rome have to fight a lot of very bloody wars against them, and finally in the beginning of the 2nd era AD, Caesar Trajan was finally able to conquer Dacians and create province called Dacia. Dacia was very north and east located Roman province, which was very hard to defend, but the province was very rich in natural resources: silver, gold and iron ore, copper and tin. So the mines was so important for Rome that they stationized here few legions to defend this land from Germans from the west and from Sarmatians from the east. But when the Roman Empire collapsed, they had a lot of civil wars in 3rd century AD. They had to left Dacia for Dawn, and in 275 Caesar Domitian decided to left this province. Immediately Germanic Goths from the east came here and conquered this territory and stationized here for about 100 years, but then they come the great problem for the whole Europe in the 4th century and the 5th century, the Huns. And the Huns wipe out almost all Germanic tribes from Eastern Europe, and they flee west, they flee to Gallia, they flee to modern Spain, and even Vandals flee to northern Africa. But Huns also fade away in the second part of the 5th century, and then Transylvania was home to another Germanic kingdom. It was the kingdom of Gepids. Gepids were close to Goths. It was East Germanic tribe that had a great kingdom in Transylvania in 5th and 6th century. But also they collapsed because of another wave of nomads from the steppe. The Avars combined with Germanic Longobards crushed Gepids in the second part of 6th century, and then Transylvania became part of great Avar Khaganate, which was terrorizing Europe for another 200 years. But also Avars collapsed because the most problem for Avars was their unfortunate siege of Constantinople in 626. After this siege, when they get beaten by defenders, by brave Constantinople defenders, Avar Khaganate collapsed, and a lot of Slavic tribes revolted against them and created a lot of independent Slavic states like Serbs, like Croats, like Moravians, and also in Transylvania this mixture of ancient Dacs, Germans and Slavic people become independent. But in the end of 7th century another wave from this great steppe come and this wave were Bulgarians. And Bulgarians under Han Asparuch created great Bulgarian Khaganate in the lower Dunaj river, but Transylvania was in their sphere of control for another 100 years. But everything changed for Transylvania when the Magyars came from the east. First record of Magyar warriors is from 862, when they helped Moravian Prince Rostisław to fight against Germans. And for another few years they were coming in the bigger and bigger waves, and finally at the beginning of 10th century they crushed Germans from Bavaria under Bratislava, and they conquered Slavic Moravian kingdom, and they created great Hungarian kingdom in the Pannonia, in the Hungarian Plateau, and also they take under their control Transylvania. And from the beginning of the 10th century, Transylvania is the main part of Hungarian kingdom. But Hungarian kingdom was established 100 years later, when Stefan I became the first Hungarian king in year 1000. After Hungarians, they were of course another wave of nomads from the steppe, and this wave were Pechenegs. Pechenegs were trying to ride eastern Hungarian territories, and the Transylvania was the place when they were repelled and defeated. After Pechenegs came another wave. It was Cumans, and Cumans were terrorizing Eastern Europe until the Mongol invasion. And the Mongol invasion was the great game changer for the Transylvania. But here I would like to describe the ethnical composition of this beautiful land. It was composed of 4 different ethnicities. The most important, the ruling ethnicity, were of course Hungarians, who conquered this territory in the early 10th century. But beside them, there were also Romanians. Romanians were descendants of ancient Dacs who were living mainly in the high hills. They were mainly pastures. They had a lot of herds of sheep and cows, and they preserved their culture and also some kind of Latin language, because today Romanian language is part of Romanian language group like French, Spanish, and also Romanian. But the Romanian pastures from the highlands of Carpathians surrounding Transylvania preserved this language. Another group were Germans, called here as Saxons, but they were not only from Saxonia, they were Germans from all over Germany, and they were settled here by Hungarian kings who wanted them to extract these valuable minerals. As I told you before, here they had a lot of silver, gold, iron, copper and tin, and Germans were specialized in mining and also in trade, and they created 7 main castles in this region, and because of that this region in German is called Sietebergen. Siete is 7 and Bergen it's castles, 7 castles, region of 7 castles. Another very important group was Shekels. Shekels are warriors of Turkish ancestry who were serving Hungarian kings as mercenaries, and they had very limited taxes just because they were very good light cavalry on a service for Hungarian kings. So we have this very big mixture of ethnicities in Transylvania, and the name Transylvania comes from Latin. It means after the forest, the land beyond the forest, because for Hungarians who lived in the plains of Middle Dunaj, Transylvania was beyond the forest to the east. So we have this nice Latin name today. The face of Transylvania was changed completely in 1241, when the great Mongolian horde under Batu Khan invaded Hungary. And they invaded through Carpathian mountains, and first was Transylvania to face them. Hungarians in this age were unable to face Mongol horde. In fact, no one was able to face Mongols in the middle of 13th century. So they devastated Transylvania enormously. Some scholars say that 50% of the population was destroyed by the Mongols, and then Hungarians tried to face them on the plains of Mohi in April the same year, but then Batu Khan and Subedej crushed whole the Hungarian army, and they were going to destroy whole Hungarian kingdom and settle in the plain near Dunaj for their own. But surprisingly, the great Khan in Karakorum died, and all the Mongol horde in the winter between 1241 and 42, they all fade away to the east to choose another great Khan. So Hungary was saved, but Transylvania was devastated. And what King Bela did? He commanded to build a lot of castles to protect this territory from future raids. And this castle, Soimos, where I'm standing here today, is one of the castles built after first Mongolian raid. And after they built this castle, only few years left, and it was needed because Mongols came again in the end of 13th century, and they tried to conquer Hungary for the second time. But this time Hungarians were very well prepared, and they repelled the invasion in Transylvania. And when they were fought, and when Mongols were retreating through the Carpathian mountains, they even managed to attack them and make them suffer and gave them a lot of losses. So Mongols did not make another big expedition on Hungary, never again. But Transylvania was not safe for the foreign invasions, because even though in 14th century it was a golden age for Transylvania, because it was safe age when Ludwig the Undegaven was the king of Hungary, and he secured Transylvania from all sides. And even Hungarians managed to conquer land in the east. They passed Carpathians and they conquered today Moldavia. But new threat from the south came. This new threat was Turkish Empire, and the Turks will try to conquer Transylvania for the whole 15th century. But they didn't manage to do it because Hungarians were fighting very bravely, and they crushed Turks in a lot of battles in the 15th century. They even tried to crush Turks on their own territory. Young king Władysław from Jagiellonian dynasty, he was a king of Poland and king of Hungary. He wanted to conduct a great crusade against Turks. And in 1444 they marched south, and under Bulgarian city of Varna they fought with Turks. But unfortunately all the Christian army was crushed, and the young king Władysław was killed in the battle. So the dreams of freeing Constantinople and repelling Turks from Europe were fade away. But Hungarians in Transylvania were fighting bravely for another half a century, but finally they fall under Turks because they lose the great battle of Mohacs in 1526, when Louis II from Jagiellonian dynasty was killed in the battle, and Turks were triumphant, and they split the territory of Hungary for the eastern part, for the Transylvania, and for the western part. The western part fall under the Habsburg rule, and the eastern part fall under the rule of Zapolia family. Jan Zapolia was the first East Hungarian ruler, de facto Transylvanian first king, and he died very soon after his coronation, but he left 1 year old child, and the child, Jan II, was under the protection of his mother, Isabel of Jagiellonia, and Isabel was regent of Transylvania for another several years, waiting for the Jan to become in the age. It is worth to mention right now that Isabella of Jagiellonian family, regent of Kingdom of Transylvania, the true Kingdom of Hungary, was living in this castle, in Castle Solymas, in today Romania. And then after Zapolia family, there was Báthory family, also very strong Transylvanian noble family who was leading here, and even one of Báthory family, Stefan, was Polish king in the end of 16th century. In the beginning of 17th century though, Transylvania became a part of first, let's say, Romanian kingdom, because Michael the Brave, Hospodar from Wallachia, was the one who united Wallachia, the land to the south, Moldavia, the land to the east, and Transylvania, the land to the west. And all these three territories became united under one rule, so they become something like Romanian kingdom. But it lasts only a few years, and then Turks and Habsburg crushed this territory, and then Turkish wave flew north, and they were stopped in the end of 17th century by the Polish and Austrian soldiers in the great battle under Vienna. But there was another very brave warrior who tried to stop Turks in the medieval times. It was Vlad the Dracula. Of course, he wasn't Dracula in his times. This legend was created a lot later. Vlad was a hospodar of Wallachia. Wallachia is a territory south to Transylvania, north to Dunaj River. And Vlad was doing his best to prevent Turks from conquering his hospodarstwo, his territory. And he was killing a lot of Turks while defeating his territory. But besides being so cruel, he said to German merchants, "You cannot trade in my territory." So the German merchants from Transylvania was very upset because their business was going bad because of Vlad the Dracula. So they tried to kill him, but they didn't succeed. So they come up with very bad stories about Vlad. They said he was drinking blood of little children, he was slaying virgins, he was doing very bad things to his servants, and also he had a pact with the devil. And they created a legend of bloody Vlad, who came as a Vlad Dracula in the future. But in fact, Vlad was only a very cruel ruler of Wallachia who was trying to defend his country against Turks. But Germans made a great bad character out of him, and today we all know Vlad as a Dracula and as a demonic creature who was drinking human blood. But in fact, it's not true. I hope you enjoyed my story about Transylvania. I invite you to this beautiful country, which is today part of Romania. And here you can see a lot of beautiful castles like this in Soimos, and very nice cuisine. And today we have also very nice weather.